productivity is something we all struggle with. In this day and age, where distractions are made available with a click of a button, we often find it difficult to find focus and concentration. Repeated scrolling diminishes our attention span, so working on a task for an extended period of time may seem overwhelming. But by the end of this podcast, you'll know exactly how to greatly increase your productivity, boost your motivation, and study more effectively. So since we're covering productivity today, let's not waste any more time and directly get into it. First, how can you instantly increase your productivity? Tip number 1, schedule your day. Make a to-do list with all the tasks, homework, and revision you have to complete, and time block them into your calendar. I suggest you use Google Calendar for this because you can separate tasks into categories, for example, events and chores or homework. You can also customize the colors to make them visually appealing and motivate yourself to work, and you can easily drag the tasks around to change their timing. So this technique of scheduling your day will ensure you finish your tasks, plan your day realistically while taking into account events and other priorities, and also have enough time for other activities. If giving each task a specific time and duration in a calendar stresses you out, I would suggest you just create a simple to-do list and allot tasks to different days. The only disadvantage with this strategy is that it might increase procrastination, but do whatever works best for you. Tip number 2, sorting tasks. Organize your tasks based on their importance and urgency. You can do this by making a color-coded to-do list or just by highlighting tasks you want to prioritize. This way, you will never miss a deadline or forget to do the most important thing on your to-do list. You can also sort tasks based on difficulty, and depending on how you prefer to study, you might choose to do easier tasks first so that you get into the focus without the work seeming so overwhelming. Or, on the contrary, do the hard task first so that the rest seems more manageable in the end and you're more likely to finish the work. Again, do whatever works best for you and motivates you the most. 3, the importance of breaks. When you study for several hours without a break, your ability to absorb and process information is limited. Depending on your attention span, take maybe a 5-minute break every 25 minutes or a 10-minute break per 45 minutes. You can use a timer to keep you on tasks. The break could be moving around, for example, going for a quick walk, something that will stimulate you. You want to do something that doesn't require a lot of mental effort to give your brain a reset period. Physical activity is great because it actually enhances your memory and recall of knowledge and gets energy flowing through you. You can also do something gratifying to reward yourself for your hard work and motivate you to get through the work quicker, like calling a friend, for example. Alright, let's move on to tip number 4, eliminating distractions. So turn off all notifications while you work so you're more likely to continue working for a longer period of time. You want to create a workspace separate from your other spaces so that your brain knows that this time is dedicated to work. You want this to be a place that's organized, noise-free, or distraction-free. This might be your desk, or if your home is too noisy, you could go to a nearby library. 5, learn to be disciplined and stick to your study schedule and goals. Make SMART goals, which stand for specific, manageable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Make sure to check out my other episode about discipline and sticking to goals for more tips on this topic, though. I won't get too much into the detail in this one. And 6, finally, you can boost your mental clarity and productivity by making sure you get enough sleep, eat healthy, drink enough water, and get that physical exercise. Because as important as work may seem, you should never, ever, ever sacrifice sleep for work. Sleep is so important because it's a reset period for your body and your brain, and it's essential to memory consolidation, which will help you learn more. I get more into the details about this topic in my other episode about sleep, which you should definitely check out. But the main point is, don't sacrifice sleep for work. Instead, include sleep time into your schedule to make sure that work time and rest time never overlap. Alright, let's move on to 5 practical study tips that you can implement so that you can get the work done faster and more efficiently. First is the Pareto principle. This is very important because it will save you a lot of time. Basically, the theory is that 20% of the work you do brings you 80% of the value. In the case of studying, it actually makes sense. Let's say you need to study a pile of flashcards. You've already gone through it a couple times and you know some of the words. Many people would continue to study the entire pile of flashcards until they know everything. This would take much longer than if you just reviewed the terms you didn't know yet. Most people don't do this, no matter how logical it seems, because the information you don't know is obviously more difficult to study. So if you want to get the most benefits possible out of your valuable time, make sure that you only spend it on things you actually need more work on instead of just mindlessly reviewing what you already know. Now, I'm not saying that occasional revision is useless. No, in fact, this is essential to turning short-term memory into long-term memory. But when your goal is to learn all the words in the flashcard pile, only study what you don't know yet and don't waste your time on other cards. 2. This is kind of a continuation of tip 1. Flashcards are actually a really good way to study because they allow you to retrieve knowledge. This is actually the best way to learn according to the book Make It Stick by Brown, Roediger, and McDaniel. Because you have to search in your memory for the information and then supply it as an answer. Also, this retrieval practice is more difficult than, for example, reading a textbook or having multiple choice questions, because having to overcome a challenge or solve a problem to find an answer is linked to better recall of the answer, since it strengthens neural connections because the mind's route to that memory is then stronger. I personally use Quizlet for flashcards, but I know some people prefer physical flashcards. If you're using those, I suggest you make 2 piles, one for the words you know and the other for those you don't know, and study mostly the ones you don't know so you don't waste your time studying what you already know. But you can still periodically review everything to make sure that it goes into your long-term memory after a while. Tip number 3. Other ways to figure out what you need more practice on and what would be the most valuable tasks for you to work on include writing down everything you know and then looking to see what you missed and studying that, or explaining the topic to somebody else and asking them where they didn't understand or if they have other questions that you could answer. 4. Space out study time. Don't cram everything together and definitely don't study for a test the night before. Use a calendar to make sure you study enough time ahead of the test. It's scientifically proven that cramming and studying only one subject for the whole day might make you remember the information for a couple days after, but it won't stay into your long-term memory. So it's better to study a bit, a week before the test, then maybe 5 days, then 3 days, and then the day before, for maybe 30 minutes each. This way you won't only remember the information for the test, but also for later, because you'll probably build onto that information later in class or need it at another time. 5. Vary the topics that you're studying. Let's say you have to study 3 subjects per day. You want to make sure that those 3 subjects are different from each other. So, for example, instead of studying math, biology, and physics in one day, you would do math, history, and art. That way you prevent mental fatigue and cognitive overload by engaging different parts of the brain, which helps to maintain focus and improves retention of information across diverse topics. And that's it for today. I hope you learned something new and that these tips will make your study time more effective. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.